Just minutes ago, border crews sounded the alarm, boats arriving back to back, resources stretched thin, and officials quietly warning that the UK's migration system is on the brink of breaking. Welcome to Power and Policy UK, the channel where British politics, power and policy are examined beyond the headlines. Here we break down the stories shaping the UK so you can understand what really matters. The situation unfolding right now along the UK's borders is being described by frontline crews as unlike anything they've seen before. In the early hours of today, fresh reports began circulating from coastal patrols, rescue teams, and processing centers, all pointing to the same conclusion. Migrant crossings are surging again, stretching the system to its absolute limits. Officials are scrambling. Crews are exhausted, and warnings are growing louder that the current setup is no longer able to cope with the pace and scale of arrivals. Overnight, multiple small boat interceptions were reported in quick succession, with vessels arriving one after another across the channel. Border teams say there was barely time to process one group before the next call came in. Rescue crews were diverted repeatedly, sometimes managing several operations within a single hour. The pressure, according to those on the ground, is relentless. One crew member described the situation as constant triage, where every decision feels urgent and every delay risks turning into a crisis. At processing centers, the impact is immediate. Facilities designed to handle a steady flow are now facing sudden spikes, forcing staff to improvise. Temporary holding areas are filling faster than expected, transportation logistics are being stretched thin, and support services are struggling to keep up. Officials have acknowledged that contingency plans are being activated, but privately, many admit those plans were never meant to handle numbers like this, arriving so quickly. What's especially concerning to border crews is not just the volume, but the conditions. Boats are reportedly smaller, more overcrowded, and increasingly unseaworthy. Crews say they are seeing people arrive soaked, shaken, and exhausted, sometimes after hours adrift at sea. While rescue remains the top priority, the human cost of these crossings is weighing heavily on those tasked with responding. Every operation carries the risk of tragedy, and crews say they are operating with almost no margin for error. Behind the scenes, the political pressure is intensifying. Government officials are facing renewed scrutiny over border policies, enforcement strategies, and long-promised reforms. Critics argue that the current approach is reactive rather than preventative, dealing with arrivals only after boats reach UK waters. Supporters of tougher measures say today's surge proves deterrence is failing, while humanitarian groups warn that harsher policies could drive migrants into even more dangerous routes. Local communities near arrival points are also feeling the strain. Councils report limited resources to support sudden influxes, with housing, healthcare, and social services already under pressure. Some residents express concern about the pace of change and the lack of clear communication, while others are stepping forward with volunteers, donations, and support networks. The contrast highlights how complex and emotionally charged the issue has become. Border Force sources say morale is being tested. Long shifts, unpredictable conditions, and constant public scrutiny are taking a toll. Several crew members have reportedly warned internally that burnout is becoming a serious risk. When experienced staff are stretched too thin, response times suffer, training gaps widen, and mistakes become more likely. This, they say, is how systems begin to fail, not all at once, but gradually, under sustained pressure. International factors are also playing a role. Instability, conflict, and economic hardship across parts of the Middle East, Africa, and Asia continue to push people toward Europe. Smuggling networks remain highly adaptive, changing routes and tactics whenever enforcement tightens. Border crews say that for every measure introduced, smugglers find a workaround, often putting lives at greater risk in the process. What's striking about today's reports is the language being used by those closest to the situation. Words like overwhelmed, unsustainable, and breaking point are appearing more frequently. These aren't political sound bites, but warnings from people who see the system's limits firsthand. They argue that without structural changes, today's surge could become tomorrow's norm. For the public, the moment feels tense and uncertain. News alerts, social media updates, and official statements are arriving rapidly, sometimes contradicting one another. Trust in the system depends on transparency, and right now, many are questioning whether leaders fully grasp the scale of what's happening on the ground. Calls for emergency measures are growing, but so are demands for long-term solutions that address root causes rather than symptoms. As the day continues, all eyes remain on the channel and the response that follows. Will additional resources be deployed fast enough? Will policy changes follow these warnings? Or will the system continue operating in crisis mode? Border crews are clear about one thing. Without decisive action, the pressure will not ease. The crossings will continue, the risks will grow, and the strain on an already stretched system could soon turn from warning signs into a full-blown failure. You've been watching Power and Policy UK, where facts, accountability, and informed debate come first. If you value clear analysis of UK politics, make sure to subscribe and stay engaged with the issues that shape our future.